"Hi, Mooney," Marissa said as she bent down towards the small cat, allowing him to rub his forehead on her legs and stroking him on his head. He usually came calling shortly after she was up in the morning. After their greeting, Mooney strode around her bedroom, becoming reacquainted with the place after having been away for 8 hours or so. He jumped up to her windowsill and, seeing that the blinds were still drawn, tried to squeeze in behind them. Marissa raised the blinds, and the sun streamed in through the window. She watched Mooney sit up in attention and follow something rapidly with his eyes. His tail bounced around behind him, alternately hitting one side of the windowsill and then the other. She began walking towards her closet again, but was stopped when she heard her phone beep. She picked it up and read the message. "Up yet?" It was Jay. She typed a response back, letting her know she was up and getting ready for school. She actually didn't have much time left before she absolutely had to leave, but that had never worried her before. Marissa and Jay, along with her friend Olivia, had spent most of the summer sitting by Marissa's pool. Surrounded by the dense trees that formed the perimeter of the property, they had felt protected in their own private world, of which they were both subject and ruler. Some days they had been joined by others, but most days it was just the three of them, bending the clock to their own will, ignoring the hands that pointed toward the demise of the kingdom. The largest interruption had been Olivia's internship, which she had been thrilled to receive. Luckily, the hours were flexible. She didn't need to be in the office every day, and she was able to work on projects from home. She would often rise before the sun on days that she didn't have to go into the office, and work several hours before joining Marissa and Jay by the pool. When she left Marissa's house in the evening, she would go home and work several more. They loved her at the internship, and she loved that she could still hang out by the pool. She did both exquisitely well. Jay had the occasional basketball game or practice for the club team she played with during the spring and summer. At 5 feet 7 inches, she was the best guard on the girls' basketball team at school, though her slender body didn't look the part. What she lacked in strength, however, she made up for in speed. She was the fastest player on the team, bar none. By the pool, she mostly lounged in one of the reclining patio chairs and read celebrity gossip magazines. Sometimes she would jump into the water to cool off, but would quickly get out again and go back to the magazines, shouting out interesting tidbits here and there to Marissa and Olivia. Marissa, on the other hand, loved the water. She did her share of lounging too, but it was in the water where she felt at home. Even in the winter, she swam indoors at the gym her family belonged to. This wasn't quite as enjoyable as swimming in her sunny backyard with her best friends in tow, but it worked well enough when the weather got too cold. She had been asked several times to join the swim team at school, but each time she had declined. She wasn't interested in the practices and competitions. She felt free in the water, and she wanted to keep it that way. The girls had been friends since they were very young, and regarded one another with a familiarity they could have accorded to their own selves, but that seemed equally appropriate directed towards the others. The days passed quickly, yet meandered on at their own pace, until they were stopped suddenly by the approaching school year. Marissa finished getting ready for school while Mooney moved about the room, darting underneath her bed, jumping up on her dresser, exploring the bathroom. Marissa checked her bag to see that she had everything. She looked at her reflection in the mirror once more and gave Mooney a parting pat on the head. She was looking forward to seeing Jay today, even though she had just seen her a couple of days ago. Olivia, however, wouldn't be at school today. Marissa had attended her funeral the previous Friday.